All right. Hello, testing 1 2. It is your boy Misty, back with some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Grind stuff. Let me put on some lo-fi music and then we will be ready to go. Actually, better yet, we'll just use in-game sounds. So let me just turn this off and I'll talk for a minute. We're gonna be doing a really quick deck build. Just wanted to get something up so the people who saw my deck post on the Master Duel website can actually, see how it's played. It's not really anything too crazy, not too much spice in it. Trying to do mainly draw cards, but this is a deck build that I got myself, that I made myself. So if there are some ratios and stuff that you feel like you can change or you want to change, feel free. There's definitely some things in the extra deck that could be changed. I don't really go into any of these link monsters at all, so if you find something that you want to use, go for it. Cyberstein's question mark. Sometimes it can save games. I'm going to show a replay where it literally saved me the entire game, but also it can brick you, so it's not very, very useful, especially with skill drain already on the board and being in play. So, yeah. There's some things that can be fixed, but it overall is a very good deck because of the Runick engine. And if you want, I can talk about each card specifically and why I have it in the deck. Just really quick, Cyberstein is a great card to have in a deck that has, not that many monsters, because it'll pretty much summon any fusion monster, and the two that we're looking at are Nataria and the Last Warrior. This will stop any special summons, and this will stop any spell or trap cards if you are willing to banish one card in the graveyard and send one more card from your deck to the graveyard. So it's a pretty good continuous negation as long as you have a card in your graveyard for spells and traps. That's honestly all that you're really going for with Cyberstein. Those two cards, you just activate it and you hope they don't have a negation. But as I said, it can be negated pretty easily, and it can be a brick. So yeah, Upstart Goblin, running 3 of these cards. We're running 3 of Upstart and Chicken Game for the same reason, to pretty much thin out our deck and make it so that we only draw the cards that we need. They're just 1-for-1, so having those good 1-for-1s makes it so our deck is pretty much smaller and a lot more consistent. And that's kind of the same idea with terraforming. Our main monster, our main, win condition, if you want to call it a win condition, is our fountain, and our fountain is a field spell. So terraforming is a great way to get to your fountain if you need it, and if you don't have it already, or you can even go for chicken game if you have a fountain and you want to draw one. So it's pretty good to have in the deck. Card of Demise, it lets you draw 3 cards, or up to 3 cards if you have no cards or less than 3 cards in your hand. But you can't special summon that turn, so it does stop a lot of your extra deck stuff, and it does stop Cyberstein. So same issue. Card of Demise has the same issue as Duality. You can't special summon, but both of these cards are really good for just thinning out your deck and searching for the cards that you are going to really need, which will usually be your Runick Fountain or maybe even Skill Drain if you can come across it before they can actually set up a board. So yeah, Pot of Duality is, like I said, is very similar. You can't special summon, but instead of drawing up to 3 cards, you excavate the top 3 cards and you add 1 card that you want. And the reason why you want this, in conclusion, or in addition to Card of Demise, is that Card of Demise will discard every card in your hand at the end of the turn, whereas Pot of Duality will simply just search for 1 card and add it to your hand. So this card is a lot more consistent, but this card will be very great fodder for our Runick engine if we have Fountain on the board. So both of these cards have their own uses, and they also have some drawbacks. If you guys can think of better cards for them, I definitely think that there probably are, but I don't know which ones. Pot of Desires is kind of a tricky one. You can either save a game off of Pot of Desires, because you can really draw 2 cards that are very useful, such as Cyberstein, and you can actually special summon during that turn. So it's actually kind of important that you can still special summon off of Pot of Desires. It can be a very great way to save a game if you need it. But also it's just another draw 2, and you don't really have many draw 2 methods besides for Card of Demise, but that'll discard your entire hand. So having 2 Pots of Desires just adds a little bit more consistency, especially in those games where you're not sure whether or not you're gonna win. I already covered chicken game kind of. It's just a draw one, same as Upstart Goblin. It also has the added effect that the player with the lower HP can take no damage, so they actually have to waste time to destroy this card, otherwise they can't destroy it. And there's another card called, sorry, I'm bad at spelling, Messenger of Peace, and this card says that monsters with 1500 or more attack cannot declare an attack, and you only have to pay 100 HP every turn to make sure that this card stays on the board. And this is broken because we don't have any monsters, and the monsters we do summon with more than 1500 are like these cards, Nartaria and the Last Warriors, so those are great floodgates. So if you wanted, instead of Pot of Duality, if you wanted to get, instead of more, you know, kind of random draws, you could go for Messenger of Peace as a floodgate to make people just wait out and go for Messenger of Peace. There can only be one rivalry, that kind of stuff. Instead of Card of Demise and Card of Desire and Pot of Duality, if you wanted to. But this is more of a pure Runick deck, so yeah. We have 3 Fountain, of course, because we really need Fountain to win the game. It's our draw 3. Each one of these is a draw 3, and having them in hand is very, very good, because that means that we can even search for another Fountain and then get another draw 3 on our own turn. That's a draw 6 for 2 cards, so that's really amazing. Terraforming is just another way to get to this card, because this card's really good to have. And also, just because we have Pot of Desires, you really want to get to Fountain early. Like, you want to get to Fountain as early as possible. So we are running 2 of our continuous, well, 1 of each, actually. One-dimensional Fissure, which sends any monsters to the graveyard instead of banishing them. We don't want to do Necrocosmos or something like that that'll send our traps, because we need our spells. Not just traps, but our spells to stay in the graveyard in order to activate Fountain and to recycle our cards back into our deck. So it's very important that this is just monsters. And yeah, we don't want too many of them, which is why I used to run 2, but honestly, I find that having a lot of draw power makes it very easy to run into Dimensional Fissure if I ever feel like it's needed. So I never really feel like I need it. Runick Allure is very mid. I know I was leading on somewhere, but no. This card is very mid. If you want to run it, you can. If you don't want to run it, you don't have to. I think instead of this, you could run another Dimensional Fissure, or I don't know. You could probably find another card to run in this deck that would run a little better. Even another Runick card maybe, but I think honestly, Runick Allure is really good for the matchup. So like the mirror match, you can get a Runick Allure out, and it's banish 1 each time they activate as well, because it says each time a quick play spell is activated. So it doesn't matter if you activate it, if they activate it, if it's a Runick or non-Runick. If it's a quick play spell and it's been activated, you can banish 1 card. So say they're activating 6 cards on their turn, you can banish 6 cards on their turn, which is very, very useful. Yeah, so that's why I like this card. Runick Tip, we have 3 of them because it's our ultimate searcher for our Runick engine. As you can see, the rest of this is kind of mainly our Runick engine. So it's really great to have 3 cards that just search it off rip. We really want to be able to search Fountain if we need it. We really want to be able to search Allure if we're going into a mirror match. We want to be able to search our Destruction, our Banish, etc. And also, it has the added effect of banishing a card. So I'm not going to go too much into like what the Runick cards actually do, because I'm sure everyone has already overheard it. I'm just going to talk about why I use them, why they're important, and why I run these ratios. So I like this card. It does all the things that you need it to do. It searches a card. It's a great card to have for special summons if you need it, but this is really just it gets your Runick cards out. So yeah, and also if you have Fountain, it's great because you can activate Runick Tip, search for whatever card you need, and then it's almost a guaranteed draw 2 off of Fountain, because you sent Runick Tip and then you will send whatever card that you searched after you use it. So it's just another free draw 2, which is really another benefit of this card. Next we have Flashing Fire. This is destroying 1 special summon, banishing top 2, or you can special summon 1 monster, which is a great card. Just for most of this meta, there's like a lot of special summon monsters running around, so this is a great way to get rid of their Omni negates or any kind of negations that they have against your spells, and then you can go into your Fountain plays or whatever kind of plays that you want that they would originally have been planning to negate. So very useful card. This is same idea. There's a lot of spell and trap heavy hate decks running around, so having a card that can just get rid of one of them and, you know, banishes the top 4, which is crazy for this, because as you can see, every other card so far has banished 1, banish 2. So this card banishes a top 4. It's great. And almost every deck has some spells, so you can just pop it even if it doesn't actually do anything. It'll be banishing the top 4, and then say you have a lure on the board, that's another 5th card that's banished, and it's just a great card to have. So next we have the Freezing Curses, which is probably one of my favorite because it actually negates the monster effect. So that is something that if they have an Omni Negate on a monster, then you can just pop that, and then there goes their Omni Negate. Like a Baron de Fleur is just handled. Like one card handles that Baron de Fleur. This card can do it, this card can do it, but I prefer this card because it can just negate it, so he doesn't have a choice. If I wanted to pop something else, then I can pop it, and then he tries to Baron negate, I can negate with Freezing Curses. It's a very good card to have in hand, very good card to draw into, good card to search off a tib. Yeah, so 3 of. Slumber is a good protector. This deck doesn't have that many monsters, so having a protector is a great way to stall out. Messenger of Peace is another good way, but I prefer Slumber because it runs in with our Runick engine, and then Fountain can recycle off that card, so that's really good. And then Runick Spiting Storm is kind of our killing option because it banishes cards up to, so that's important, up to the number that they control. So I can banish 1 to 7. If they have 7 cards on the board, I can banish 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. up to 7. And that's really good because say you're at the very end of the game, you need to banish the specific amount of cards that it asks for or requires. So if it says banish the top 2 cards, you need to be able to banish the top 2 cards. Otherwise, this won't work. So a lot of these cards, like this is good because it banishes 1, so regardless, you're gonna deck them out with this card. But another example is this card, like it will banish the top 4, which is great at the beginning of the game, but if you get to the end of the game and they don't have 4 cards left in their deck, then this card doesn't have any use other than special summoning a Runick monster. So it's very good to have at least 1, maybe 2 Runick Storms, Smiting Storms, so that you can just banish any number, and it's very good control. So yeah. And then these 2 cards, we just keep one of. We don't want to give our opponent that many draws, so this is just going to draw a card off of the top of their hand, and then banish the top 4. So it's kind of like this card is banishing 4, but it's also drawing 1 for them. So the thing is, this is really not good at the end of the game at all, because it draws 1 card for them and then banishes the top 4, so that'd be 5 cards they have to have at least. And you can only activate 1 per turn, so you'd be giving them 2 cards before this card would actually kill them. And I'd prefer to just not give them that extra draw, but it is a good killing option if you need it. So say you had a droplet, and he had 11 cards left, and he had like 6 cards on the forward board, and you also had a Smiting Storm. You'd be able to droplet, let him draw 1, that'd be 5 cards gone. He'd have 6 cards left in his deck, you'd Smiting Storm, 7 cards on the board, so you'd choose 6, and then he would be GG with 11 cards left in the deck. So that'd be one way that you could deal with Smiting or Droplet. Even though it gives them a card, it's usually used to add to the kill. And then if you also wanted to, you could combo it with Dispelling, because Dispelling discards a random card from their hand and banishes the top 2 if they add a card. So this card adds a card. So if you add a card and then you Dispel, you would destroy a card, and then you can banish 2 more cards. And so that's, say you had, my favorite setup to have is a Fountain, a Droplet, a Dispelling, and then I can draw somehow into a Lure, and then maybe 1 more like a Desire or something for a draw 2. Because then you can get this, and these 2 cards alone will add 1 card, banish the top 4, so that's 1, 4, and then it'll destroy a card and banish the top 2, so that's 2, 6. So that's 8 cards gone already, and then you activated 2 cards, so that's 1, 2 for the Runick Allure. And then that's 10 cards banished, and then you have a Runick Fountain. You activate Runick Fountain, and then that's a draw 2 off of that. And then you can draw any of your other cards, or if you had another card, like say you did it off of a Runick Destruction, for example, that would be another banish 4. So that would be, and then it would banish 5 and destroy 1, because Allure would banish 1 more card, and then this card would destroy 1 and banish 4. So it would be insane. That would be about 15 to 16 cards off of the first, 5 cards that you've drawn. So that's just one example of how you can really thin out their deck with these cards. And yeah, so Skill Drain is another great card for this deck because we don't have any monsters. So it does fuck with your special summons like Geary and Moonin and Hugin. So you would kind of want to hold off on Skill Drain unless you absolutely need it. And there's not too many situations you'll need it. So I'm thinking even Maybe switching skill drain for a mono Wado so that I can actually add Dongirsu. Okay, no. Okay, I don't know how to spell it. Dengirsu. Dingirsu. Alright, well, if you guys don't know that card, it has like 20 effects and is a very useful card. Another card I was thinking about adding is Baguska, because Baguska is 2 level 4 monsters. It's a fiend. Doesn't matter for us, but it will negate any monster's effects. So that's instead of skill drain, we could be running a mono Wado, which is a link 4. We could do this with Geary, special summon a fountain from the graveyard, and then go into our fountain plays while also having a Baguska on the board to stop any monster effects from happening, which is great. But I'm not going for that, so if you wanted to, like I said, other options. Skill drain has been working for me because I've been counting 1, 2, 3, 4 continuous. So I should have room on my board to at least activate one of everything, even if I have every single slot activated, which I really shouldn't because I have 2 skill drains. So yeah, don't worry about that too much. You guys shouldn't be bricking on those that much. Next we have our extra deck. These are our main monsters. I don't know if you guys really need me to tell you how to play this. Here, let's start with the Link monsters because this is easy. Link Spider, I only use if they summon like a token and I need the space. I can use Link Spider to just, get rid of that space, and then I'll have an extra slot opened up. Or maybe I can even use it to negate a monster effect, or maybe stop a monster from being destroyed from battle. It's just very useful to have it for an effect monster, and then also to clear up space. This card is used to out like super powerful cards on the board. Like you can use one of your one of your Hugin, or one of your Munin or Gary, and you can summon this card and say there's a card that cannot be destroyed by battle, can't be targeted by effects. This card will return any card that it battles at the beginning of the battle phase. Very useful. But I've never used it. So you can see Runick is very stunning, so you never really get to a point where you need that. Line of the Light Charmer is just, it lets you summon a light monster from their graveyard. Kind of useful to us, not really. The Dark Charmer lets you summon a dark monster, and then if it gets destroyed, you can grab Cyberstein, which is kind of useful. But it's very, very specific. So I've never used that. Like I said, I've never used any of these, but I'm just explaining what they're for. This card, once you link summon, so you can use one of their cards from the graveyard, and then have 2 cards on the field, go into Nightmare Unicorn, link summon, destroy one of the cards or you can target one card and shuffle it into the deck, so another card that can't be destroyed, you could shuffle into the deck. And then you draw a card, and then you go access code next turn, and that's pretty much what the whole game plan was with that. And let's get into our fusion monsters. Hugin will add you a field spell, so this is kind of the main one you want to go to if you don't get a field spell going. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all. And oh yeah, it's also not all. I'm sorry, this second part is very important. Protects against like destructions, non-targeting destruction, so like Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, all of that. You don't need Lord of the Heavenly Prison or any protection. You just need one of your Runick cards, and then you special summon Hugin. Hugin will protect, which is amazing. The other card is Moonin, so if someone has, something like, I don't know, is it Cosmic Cyclone? Yeah, so if someone has a targeting banish, for example, like this card, what this card does is if a card you control, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a Runick card you control, or a set card, you can banish this card and negate it. So pretty good to have at least one of these. It's also going to search off your allure. So if you already have Fountain in hand, which you most of the time will, to be honest, you can go into Munin, search Allure, and then if they have a Cosmic Cyclone or another targeting effect, you'll be able to negate it very easily. But just know, I mean, keep this a secret between you guys and me, but this deck hard loses to evenly matched if you have, like, well, it doesn't hard lose to evenly matched, but it does have no counterplay against evenly matched. If you have like a lot of spells on the board, so like say you're going card demise and you set everything, Munin's not going to protect you, Hugin's not going to protect you, Gary's not going to protect you. The best you can do is use every single card on the field, and then save your fountain so that you can at least try to draw whatever you had left in your graveyard. Because hopefully off of card demise, you just sent some Runick cards to the graveyard, and then you'll have some replayability. But that's pretty much, you really don't have much against that. So just keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone. Make it seem like it's okay, and hopefully people will stop playing that fucking card, because evenly matched is so annoying. I hate that card. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, none of these cards will protect against evenly matched. But this card, like I said, will protect against targeting. So that's really good, and it will grab you your allure, which is why we're only running one allure, and also why we're only running one Moon, because we only have one allure. Card protects only if you stop the activation as well, so you have to stop the activation, which means if they activate Cosmic Cyclone and then you try to summon Munin, it's not going to be useful, so you have to have Munin on the board. It's just a guess at that point, and I mean, I'm just gonna have one. I'm not gonna keep trying to guess for that, and then they have Harpies, and then I can't summon Hugin. So yeah, it's very good for one-off. It's like a good one-off card, kind of. And that should cover everything. I already covered Last Warrior and Naderia. In my opinion, I would go for Naderia more often than the Last Warrior, because the Last Warrior can be destroyed pretty easily. But if you have your Runick cards that say like special summon monsters can't be destroyed or something like that, then this card is a this card is absolutely disgusting, because Ash doesn't work, Maxi doesn't work, no normal summons. I mean, there's not much they can do. There's just not much they can do besides for Lightning Storm and, you know, I mean, Harpies and that kind of stuff. But it's really not super useful, because you can actually use the Natural Warrior, destroy all monsters on the field, and then once he destroys your cards, you have your Hugin, so you can reset, or you can have your Gary, so you can reset from the graveyard, your Fountain or your Allure, and then recycle all your cards that got destroyed. And it's really not that good, like, to destroy, to like go into Harpies after that. So then they have Lightning Storm, but then the Lightning Storm would be like a 1-for-1, so they'd be using a Lightning Storm on the Last Warrior, or they'd be using it on your entire back row and have nothing for your Last Warrior. So you see, it's really useful, but very specific. I'd prefer Naderia every single time, but you do have to banish and send. It has so many costs, which is why the Last Warrior is in here, because it doesn't cost anything, just in case. It's a very good backup. So yeah, we're gonna go into some replays. I have like 3 replays of decent games, I think decent games, that I wanted to show you guys. Not really that I've played, you know, incredibly well or anything, but they're very generalized games, so you can get an idea of what was going on and how you play Runick in the current meta. Because in this meta, Runick is actually getting a lot of hate, and having cards that are just, you know, poppable on banish are really strong. So I'm actually probably after this going to switch back to my Labyrinth deck and maybe make a YouTube video about that. But banishing is just so incredibly strong in this meta, and we banish cards, sure, but if they banish your cards, there's not a lot you can do to recover it. So you have to play pretty smart around banishing. And as I say that, I draw into Pot of Desires, so you're going to see what happens here. I don't really remember every one of these games as well, so I'm just going to give you like a generalized what I'm thinking about the situation, and then I'll probably say, maybe I'll get it right, but just don't hate too much if I get it wrong. I'll go a little slow so you can see how I actually won these games. But they're all pretty high tier, high level games, not high tier, but the people were pretty good. So off of this, we searched Fountain. We could get Upstart, Dimension, Runick Fountain. I prefer Fountain. Fountain, like I said, is the card we always want to have, and now we can Desires without being scared that we're going to banish all 3 Fountain. So we Desire. Look at what we sent. Sent 1 Fountain. Yeah, we sent 1 Fountain, a Dimensional Barrier, a couple of cards that were useful. We activate our Fountain. We have no cards in our graveyard, so we couldn't special summon because of duality, but we do have a lot of information here, because we just went through half of our deck, so we know we have all 3 Fountain pretty much. We have knowledge of where they are. We only have 1 of these, and this was when I was running Called By. I was running it to stop Ash. You can do that if you want, but as you can see, I literally didn't even keep it in the deck, because I was like, what's the point if I'm gonna either banish off Demise or not use it, because I would rather have a quick play off of Fountain. So yeah, I'd say don't do it, but you can if you want. Looking at this, not too many useful cards. I was also running, like I said, Dimensional Fissure. Two of instead of like I threw Called by out and my second Dimensional Fissure out for the Allure, I think, and one other card. So I didn't have Allure in this build, I'm pretty sure, and then I had a Messenger of Peace instead of having Dimensional Fissure. So yeah, these are the builds that I was telling you guys about. And this is against, I remember this game now. This is against a Labyrinth. So Labyrinth is so good against banishes. So they didn't have to do anything really, but they summoned this to go into Welcome, and I hate that they can have Epidemic Eradicator in hand, and I knew that he could have Epidemic Eradicator in hand. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop him from getting his Welcome Labyrinth out. That means that he won't have a 2900, and that means that he won't be able to use Epidemic, right? Okay, so we banished the top 3 cards. Definitely just full on Labyrinth. He's got all the cards. So, as I said, he didn't have Epidemic before. Okay, but he has Lord, so that means in 2 turns he'll be able to search Epidemic. So that means that I have to know that I need a Destruction. Like, I need a spell Destruction right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get rid of this monster as early as possible with Geary. He doesn't destroy it, but you could have stopped him from attacking with Slumber, but I preferred to get him to attack me with Geary to get rid of his card, and then I can also hopefully pop some of his back row after he activates Lord. But for now, he didn't do that, so I went into this so that I could probably get my draw 3 off this turn. Because I don't think I got it off this turn. 1, 2, 3. And always try to draw 3. So I draw Cyberstein, which is like, if there was a card that you want to draw against Labyrinth, it's probably Cyberstein. So I drew, and I know that this is also an out. So this is what I was saying. This card can be a huge brick, but if you can make it more of like a last resort, it can be an out. And it was definitely that kind of situation. I'll just fast forward through the remainder of the game, but you'll see. I add this, he trap tricked, so he didn't start with Eradicator, he trap tricked into Eradicator, which means he can only activate one more trap after this, but I can't stop this. Like, I mean, there's nothing to destroy with Runick Destruction yet, so I can't activate this. Once he sets this and he summons Lord, then I can activate it, but then he'll activate this to tribute Lord, so then this card is already activated, you know what I mean? So there's not really a lot I can do except for hope that he misplays and doesn't summon Lord here, but he does. So I can't do anything. Lord is protecting still. I can't, you know, I can't do anything about that. Tried to summon this so that I could target a special summon monster and destroy it, but I couldn't. So he epidemics right away. I can't do anything about this. You can't activate this because it's a tributing. So you tribute one card, it's already off the face of the field. And I destroy a spell. This is pretty much not last resort, but this is really like me trying to shuffle through as much of his deck as possible, because it's going to come down to me having Naderia and negating everything until he activates, you know, Lord and protects, and then waits like 3 turns to summon a Labyrinth out that can, you know, destroy my monster. But I have so many cards in the graveyard, and you'll see what happens. Like, the reason why I like Naderia especially, so I got rid of a lot of his cards, right? In the first 2 turns, by the way, off of everything that I've shown you guys, you can see how many cards I've gotten rid of. So even though we desired ourselves, there's still a lot of play for us. And our Fountain might be gone, but we did a lot of work. Okay, so he saw our entire hand. He saw Cyberstein, there was nothing he could do. Summon Cyberstein, activate it, Naderia effect. Okay, so Eradicator stays up for 3 turns. He has 3 turns to beat me, essentially is what's happening. If he doesn't find a way to out Naderia in the next 3 turns, I have so much fodder for Naderia, because it says, when a blah blah blah, when a spell or trap, you can banish 1 card, then send the top card. So I have 10 cards, and then I have 19 cards in the deck, so 19 spells and traps on a floodgate deck. So you can see, he sends compulsory, doesn't matter. He Iron Wall, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can't do it. Goes in match. Negate activations is so stupid. So he can't do any of these. I don't want him to Iron Wall. That was pretty much the biggest one. But goes in match. It's to stop him from destroying these cards in case I want to eventually try to beat into him, because he doesn't have that many monsters. So I was hoping he would pass again, or maybe he would even attack Gary at some point, and then I could just use Gary. Top card. But yeah, Nateria effect, broken, destroys. Probably the smartest play you could do. Tricking game gone. Spell. Rivalry, doesn't matter. I mean, now I just have like so many cards in here. There's nothing for him to do. I'll destroy this monster in next game. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You don't have anything. You don't have any monsters. You don't have any spells. Everything's in the graveyard. So that's a game of control. That's how you play against a control deck. Really, it's draw you're out as soon as possible. So once you find out you're playing a control deck, you really want to start shuffling your deck for Cyberstein, for your monster negates, for your spell destructions. Those 3 cards are going to be key to winning those mirror matches. Next game we have is one of the Sword Soul. I don't remember this game. Let me see if this is. Okay, so there was another game that I wanted to show you guys. This isn't that game. Let's see what it is. Let's see what happened. I don't remember this game at all. So I thought this was a game that I was going to show you guys against the branded fusion player. But I guess this is a Sword Soul game. We'll see. So I go first. I start with... Oh, I remember this game actually. I know why I don't remember. Well, let me rephrase that. I know why I don't remember this. So I was telling you guys, if you start with a goated hand, you can do a lot. Look how many cards he has. 35. All right. 35. Something light. You guys want to see something light? Let's show you. Like, Allure is weak. Okay. Remember that. Allure is a weak card. It's a 1-for-1. Every time that a quick play is activated, you will banish 1 card. Okay. So, look at this. These 2 cards are the combo I was talking about, right? So, your opponent draws 1 card. And at this point, I think I was like playing 2 of both of these, so it wasn't that uncommon for me to draw both of them. But if you want, you could save 1 for the other one, because this is a great way to get this combo going. This card will let him draw, and then it will banish 1. It'll destroy 1 random, and then banish the top 2. So that's 7. Let me make sure I'm doing my math right. Let's just add them up. 5 cards. 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10. So this is going to be 10 cards just by this. All right. And then we're hoping to open it into Fountain. Oh, baby, give me that Fountain. We take Fountain. And this is the exact combo I was talking to you guys about. So you activate this. You set Fountain. You go into this. He adds a card. You go Allure. You go Dispelling to make him destroy one of the special summon cards. There's another card gone off the top of the hand. Destroys a card. This card, so he fucked himself a little, he didn't realize. But this card lets him special summon. If this card is banished, he can special summon a token. And he's got a lot of these. I don't know why he had so many of these, but I use this to get my draw 2 because I can't special summon off of duality. So I draw 2. He chains this, special summoning a monster, and that's going to let this card become active. So what I'm hoping for now is to run into another Fountain so that I can actually get another draw this turn. So that's a draw 2. I get a Tip. Tip is great. Okay? Tip is a great card to have. Because we can just use it to search whatever we want. We want a monster negation, we can get it. But we don't want a monster negation. What we want is another Fountain, right? So we can go, activate Chicken Game, get another draw. Use this, shuffle our deck, another draw. Use this, shuffle the deck, another draw. Get our get our second Fountain without even drawing off of Runick Tip. You see what I did? Instead of making our, this is our like trump kind of, because it'll search any Runick card. So we have so many draw cards. So we just drew into draw, and then once we found out what we were playing with, that's when we set it up. Maybe there's a different way to do it that's better, but I prefer to set it up this way. So we found Fountain, we activate Fountain, we get this, we activate Destroy a Special Summon. So this is another card that we'll be able to use, and then it's banishing 1 card plus our Allure will banish another one. And then we can activate this to destroy 1 Special Summon monster, and then Smiting Storm. will actually banish cards from the top of the deck up to the amount they control. And maybe this was a little bit hasty, but the reason that we did this was to get more pops off of Allure. Like, the less cards that he has in his deck, the less play he has. So if we already look, he's gotten rid of one of his Moi, he's gotten rid of one of his Tai, so that means he only has one of each of those left. I think he only has maybe two, maybe he runs three of these, but he only has one more Sword Soul Emergence. He has maybe two more of these, and maybe one more of these, and maybe one more of these. Like, we're getting rid of all of the important cards in the deck that really stun opponents on their turn. So you can keep looking. This is another, like, their searcher cards are gone. We destroy their token, and then for it, we get rid of one more search, a negation, another search. I mean, this is just incredible for us. Another search gone, and then Allure activates. We get two more banishes off of these two cards that we drew, and then we actually get to draw one more 3 times. If we drew another fountain, we could keep going. I mean, we could keep going. And this is off of duality. So if we did this off of just, you know, drawing into fountain and then drawing into tip, we could have just searched it from our graveyard using Geary. Geary would search a non-quick play runic spell. You could summon Geary. Geary would search our fountain spell in the graveyard, which is right here. You add it to your hand. You activate this fountain, get your draw 3. Then you would use whatever is in hand, activate your third fountain, and then, well, it wouldn't even, your other fountain, and then you can get more draws off on your turn. So that's the reason why this deck is kind of broken, and that's what this game is kind of showing you how you're supposed to play with the brokenness of this deck. So there's that. We already used duality this turn, but we look in his thing, and not a lot of good cards. I mean, we got rid of one of his desires, so he might have another desire. We got rid of this second version of this. I mean, a lot of his, almost all of his extenders besides for Vishnu are dead. So we desires to try to get as many more cards as we can, because we're going to kill him in the next 2 or 3 turns now. And then we get, off of the desires, we got a Freezing Curses and a card of Demise. And we banished our Cyberstein, but the Cyberstein wasn't useful this turn anyway, so it's fine. We banished one Runick Tip and our Terraforming, which could have been useful, but okay. Not too many cards that we mind. And this is a god tier hand. Like, now we have all the cards we need to even kill him. Again, like, this is almost the same hand that we started with, except with 3 more cards. Like, we just searched off Allure, we searched off Fountain, and then we have all the cards in the graveyard for replayability. So we have another Fountain, we have another Duality, whatever we want from the graveyard besides for the pots and the searches. So he apparently has nothing. Like, he probably has something, but he's looking for like a Harpies or something. Because if we look in here, we didn't banish a Harpies. We did banish a Lightning Strike. So he probably is looking for another Lightning Storm or another Harpies or something like that. But he searches into his second copy of Vishnu. Vishnu gets summoned. Ash summoned. So he did this because I think every single copy, like, look how many cards. He has 6 cards left. I think every single copy of this got kind of banished. I think he drew into Ash. That's so tough for him that he drew into Ash. He was probably really salty. I would be really salty, but he drew into Ash probably. So he has these cards, and then he could have gone into his Link Summon, but then he has no one to search because all of his cards are gone from his graveyard. That's why this deck is so good, because it's not that he's not able to play. He's able to play, he just can't search out cards from a non-existent deck. So it's turn 2 and he only has 6 cards in his deck. What is he going to do? You know what I mean? So we Fountain off this. Has another Ash, which is unfortunate again. I don't know why he has 2 Ashes right now. Maybe he already used an Ash? I don't even know why he didn't Ash before, but I guess I didn't give him anything to Ash. Because all those cards were adding besides for Duality, and he wanted to see what I was doing. And also, I mean, yeah, I don't think he could have Ashed. But that's tough. He was trying to go into Baron to Fleur here. You can see level 7, level 10. Or not even Baron, but a Link 10. Or a Synchro 10. Shang-Ying. Maybe that's why he did this. Because he wanted Shang-Ying with as much banish potential as possible. Let's see how... That Shang-Ying strong, bro. That Shang-Ying... he's got some power behind it, okay? What he does not know is 2 things. 1, I have a negate still, and 2, I have like 20 cards inside my graveyard that'll activate. Like I'll be able to add another fountain, and then once I do this and this, I'll have 3 more cards, and then I'll draw another card. Like he's not gonna get anywhere by just summoning him. He tried to use Crossout Designator to just banish a card from his deck, which is fine with me. Shuffle your deck more. I'm gonna Freezing Curses this guy early so that he can't banish a card on the field when a card is banished. Like that's what his whole play was, I guess. So we target this card since he hasn't banished yet. Gets rid of the effect. Back to a 3000. He almost could have killed me too if I didn't have a negation. I mean, if I didn't have a negation or a summon, which I had both, but and I also have a draw too. Like I didn't even have to do this, but the reason that I did is because he had 2 cards left, and Allure was gonna activate off of 2 because he activated Crossout Designators. So there's no point. I mean, I'm just gonna get the draw 2 and see what happens off of that. No point in saving it for this, even though I got 2 bricks, kind of. That's the game. Alright, this video has been kind of long. We're gonna do one more. Confirm. Alright, so this is against a dinosaur deck, a dinosaur control deck. I don't know anything about dinosaur. I just I don't think this is a good I don't think this is a good deck, but yeah, it was diamond, so yep. Alright. I didn't even realize that my music wasn't playing this entire time. That's on me. That's on me. Last time my music was too loud. This time my music's not gonna be on. Alright, anyways, he's summoning. I should mention, he summoned this card that banishes, so he knew what deck I was playing. He knew. He went through my entire extra deck and he banished 3 cards with different names. So he banished. He knew I was a Runick player off of these 3 cards. And he also got rid of any play. Once again, this is a crazy. I've never seen anyone do it like this, but he got rid of any play that I could make off of Cyberstein. So no, Cyberstein's useless. I mean, Cyberstein. I just kept that in mind that Cyberstein was useless now. Yeah. So you can watch him combo off. He summons like 3 or 4 more times. This guy's I'll just at the end of the turn I'll talk about what the monsters do, because each one of these just summons into destruction, into summon from grave, into destruction, into summon from hand, into destruction. Masquerena summons from deck, into summon from grave, into summon from deck, into summon. Sorry, destruction into summon, banish, and this gets destroyed because this card doesn't it destroys any cards at the end of the turn that is lower or with a level equal to the number of monsters banished to activated. So yeah, it banished 1 because it took 1. Yeah. Anyways, this card makes it so that you can't target dinosaurs, which is fine because this is the only dinosaur. However, this dinosaur says once per turn when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can destroy 1 dinosaur monster and negate it. So he has 1 negation. This card lets him link summon. I'm assuming because he has a link 2 and a link 2 that he's gonna go access code. So I was thinking he would save that for his turn. And then this card lets him negate another monster effect. So it doesn't matter to me. Pretty much these 2 cards are the only ones that I have to deal with. Looking at our hand. This is useless. But other than that, pretty good hand. So we instantly activate this to try to bait out any orb attacks, but he doesn't do it. Uses Max C to overlay it because this card will get banished if he doesn't, and that will negate it. So he just activates Max C. I get my destruction. So this destruction is used to bait out this because I don't want him to negate Fountain, especially since I think I did this. Yeah, I have Desires in hand. So I don't want to not be able to use Desires. So I want to keep Fountain. Destroy special summon. So this card, I pretty much wanted to negate this card as soon as possible, but he negates my negation by sending his other dinosaur, so this card can now be targeted. so that's fine. I activate Fountain, and then this is pretty much to get my draw 3, and he uses this time to Link Summon, which I thought he would do next turn to get access code, but Mechanite, because access code would probably be useless here, since he can't banish any Link monsters in his graveyard, because they're all banished already. So we banished the top 3 since he linked it off because he wanted to get only 3 banished instead of 4. I get my draw 3, destroy a card, banish cards, he sets. I set all 3, get my draw 3 off demise. That card is not able to battle this turn, but really the main point is so that I can get another card in the graveyard. These 2 cards I know will be sent to the graveyard, I know. But we're just sending them. First off, we need a spot open for next turn, like so that when we activate Fountain, get our cards in our hand, we have a spot for it. Second off, we have 3 Runick Destructions, so we don't need all 3. Instead, now we're going to be able to draw 3 off of the next draw. Like whenever we use our next Runick card, we'll be able to draw 3. So that's another benefit of Demise. It just gives you more fodder. He goes straight into battle. Fine with me. So this card is useless because he doesn't have any spell any traps. This card is going to destroy a monster when it gets destroyed, but this card cannot be targeted by battle or effect. So I have to find a way to play around this the Crusadia Avermax, or whatever you want to call it. I get my draw 3 right now because, like I said, I get it off my first draws. Like the first time that I used one, I was planning on using it. So I got my draw 3. It's a negation and a draw. So I could negate, but I don't think I could negate this. For some reason, I wasn't able to negate this. I think it was just because it was like chained when I got it, but yeah, this card can't be targeted. So I decided to use my Freezing Curses because I have 2 of them anyways. And then I was going to use this again, destroy this card, but he negated it once again, which is fine. That's like all of his monster negations gone right there. And then Nightmare Phoenix, I got rid of most of my summons. So right now all I have is, like, he's gotten rid of a lot. He's done a good job at getting rid of a lot of my deck, but he doesn't know that I still have a couple of cards to summon. So I use my Runick Slumber here to summon one more time. This guy will protect this card, and he has his setup again. This is the same setup, but with the Nightmare Griffin. And what I need is my own setup. But I have 4 cards in the graveyard, so I'm not too scared about getting set up. I first activate my Pot of Greed to get a draw 1, get Chicken Game. I know that I want to activate Fountain so that I can get a draw 3 before I activate it again. Before I activate Chicken Game, that is, so that because they're both field spells. So I activate this one to stop this card from being 3000. It doesn't matter. I mean, all 3 of these don't have any effects on my turn. So I activate it so I can get Fountain. Fountain draws 3. Once I get my draw 3, I will... By the way, I'll explain later. But I get my Upstart Goblin, use Upstart Goblin, get another draw 1, activate Chicken Game, does 1000 damage, let me draw 1 more. This is all to shuffle. So if you look in my graveyard right now, only cards in there are non-useful cards. Like they're all shuffle. Like all these are gonna shuffle through my deck for me, and then these 2 I'll be able to recycle once I use a Runick card. So I was just looking for another Runick Fountain. Once I got Runick Fountain, okay, so I got Runick Fountain. Not sure how I even got Runick Fountain. I think I got it from my draw 3. Yeah, so I got my second Runick Fountain, which is what I wanted. I was gonna tip to get Fountain, but I got it. So then I tipped to get a lure. It was either a lure or droplet, so that I could get them to draw 1 and then banish, and then use Dispelling to destroy 1 and then banish. But I was like, skill drain, I mean, it doesn't matter. And then also at this point, I think I had literally 1 second on the clock. So I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go and set everything and then tank as much damage as I can, because the game's over. He has 12 cards left and he has no cards in hand. Every single one of these cards doesn't do anything on the board. Like, they all are monster effects. I mean, the only thing I have to do is negate this guy next turn so that it doesn't get an added banish bonus. But yeah, he gets rid of, Regeki, not even a useful card against me. Then I get my draw 3 off of my second Fountain for this turn. I could have allured first, but like I said, I was out of time, so I really didn't want to, I could have done a lot more. I could have killed him this turn, but instead I just ended turn. I did as much as, I activated as much as I could without getting rid of all my cards, because I wanted to keep keep my main fountain, my main Runick cards so that next turn, if I needed to, which I didn't think I would, but if I needed to, I could use it. So I activate Skill Drain, and then I summon Geary, and I do all this in the draw phase so that I can just, like at this point I was at 10 seconds or something, so I activated everything in the draw phase, but you can see like he can't do anything at this point. I just activate everything, and then I turn it off, and then I let him play. I didn't even activate Geary's effect to destroy a card once it was destroyed. No, I just activated every single effect. Next turn, I'll have the playability. I don't care how many cards he has. I'll have the playability to end the game. Could have activated it here, like I said. Didn't want to. Could activate this, and destroy. All of these cards are negated now. So I could have done this, you know, stop an attack. I could have done this to special summon, you know, any of my Runick monsters if I really wanted to get protected. Then I can, you know, target one spell, destroy it if I want. Well, not anymore, but I could have before I activated my allure. But instead, since, you know what, this is a good question. You guys ask yourself, what can you do here? What can you do here with these cards to get rid of everything in his hand? He has 3 cards. I'll go through one by one. You can decide how the best way to end this game is. There's 1 card in this entire everything that you can even shuffle if you want. You know, you got play here. This card, maybe, you know, maybe this card, maybe this card, maybe this card. There's so many cards that you can use right now. Like how do you want to win? I mean, that's just a question that you can ask yourself. You want to win by, you know, pot of duality, searching for another Runick tip, and then activating tip, search for another fountain, activate fountain, draw 2. Like, you can do so much, but I just activate this, destroy, banish top 2, allure, banishes the top 1. He resummons, but the game's over. There's no more cards, GG, and yeah, that's how you play Runick. Well, at least this version of Runick. There's a lot of different versions that you could run with, but this version is my version, the version that I created, and it is a lot of fun to play with. So yeah, that's the deck list. I'll go through it one more time. You guys can look at it. But yeah, after this, I'm gonna be probably making a lot more Labyrinth content. So if you guys want to see Labyrinth deck build and how to beat Runick with Labyrinth, then I will be doing a lot more of that kind of stuff, because Diamond's so full of Runick hate, and the Runick hate is banish. So as long as you can stop them from banishing, you're good, bro. You stop evenly matched, you're good. So I'm gonna go back to my Labyrinth, tinker with it a little bit, and yeah, I'll probably come up with some stuff for that. But for now, we're gonna stop. Yeah, and then we're gonna just put this up on YouTube. Hopefully it's okay that it's just exactly what I streamed, because yeah, that's how I be. I'm too dumb to just figure all that kind of stuff out. I'm just doing my thing. Anyways, thanks for the people who stopped by, for the people who see this on the Master Duel website. Let me know if you have any questions. Post them in the comments and stuff like that, and I will get to them. I'll let you know any answers to your questions. So yeah, thanks for watching. Adios.